Thank you all. I think it's ironic that we even have to have this conference in the middle of the coldest winter in 40 years. But it got so cold in New York this winter that Mayor Bloomberg actually got stuck to a campaign promise. Joe Bass, ladies and gentlemen, let him hear it. Joe is an incredible optimist. I was doing an event with him once when there was a bunch of protesters outside yelling at him, and he leans over to me and he goes, I think they have me confused with Robert De Niro. And I go, no, Joe, they're calling you a denier. So I wasn't familiar with a lot of you. I looked you all up in SourceWatch. Am I the only one here not getting $1 million from a tobacco company? I do, however, want to thank ExxonMobil for preparing my speech for me tonight. I'm pretty happy with that. I love this. I love this kind of debate, though. I mean, it's really. I love to listen to people. I love to hear what people have to say. I even watch televangelists on TV. That's how much I like to hear debate. I saw this one guy that actually said the odds of the scripture being a coincidence rather than a prophecy were calculated at 100 million billion to 1. Okay, here's a little hint for all you up-and-coming televangelists. If you're going to lie to me, use a real number. 100 million billion is not a real number. 100 million billion is an amount of money a fifth grader bets another fifth grader to jump off the roof. It's like $11 zillion. But people get that way with numbers. My wife the other day was out looking at the front lawn. She's looking at the lawn. She goes, man, we have a buttload of squirrels on our front lawn. To this day, I don't know how many squirrels she saw. How many squirrels in a buttload? You know, maybe I'm unique, but I think for me, a buttload of squirrels, only be one. One tiny, angry, confused little squirrel. There's this one televangelist, man, you probably know who I'm talking about here, because he's got his own TV station even, and he's all over the news and everything, and he's decided that his truth is the only truth, and if you don't believe his truth, that you should lose your job and be sent to a place where you should wail and gnash your teeth. And he's not content he made this film, and he's not content just convincing adults. No, he wants to get it into the schools where he can show it to little impressionable minds while they're still naive enough to believe in things like Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy. And he doesn't see anything wrong with that because it is the truth. And if we don't believe him that we're going to be punished with fires and floods and hurricanes and famine and plague and pestilence, and if you haven't figured out already, I'm talking about Al Gore. Yeah, I know some of you probably thought I was talking about Pat Robertson. Or myself, I don't see much difference between Pat Robertson and Al Gore. Well, except that when Pat Robertson says that hurricanes are caused by feminism and homosexuality, we laugh at him. When Al Gore says they're caused by SUVs and light bulbs, he gets a Nobel Prize and a goddamn Oscar. Of course, the big difference between Al Gore and Pat Robertson is Pat Robertson knows what he fills the tank up of his private plane with. Al Gore still thinks it's filled with magic. And I know people say, no, it's different. Al Gore is talking science. Pat Robertson's talking religion. And I don't know that this global warming thing's not religion. Because everything they say is going to happen is bad. I mean, couldn't global warming be a good thing? You know, I think New York might be pretty with a palm tree or two. And I guarantee that global warming would be a godsend to the Canadian citrus growers. You want to talk some farmers with no luck at all. Those citrus growers haven't turned a crop in years. But they never say that. They never say that it might be good, that it might be milder climate. We might have longer growing season, proliferation. I can't even say what we could have. But more species, but it's just the bad stuff. And sometimes they even contradict. You know, they tell us that it can cause hot and cold. It can cause flood and drought. It can cause rain or fire. It can cause melting. It can cause freezing. It can cause an astronaut to drive halfway across the country in a pair of diapers. Oh, what a strange winter we had last year. Global warming. But anything bad that happens now, you see people saying that it's global warming. Mudslides in California, global warming. You know, when you see those multi-million-dollar houses sliding down the faces of cliffs, which I guess you're supposed to feel sorry for. You know, it's not like it's not their fault for not realizing how that cliff got there in the first place. Continents smashed together, half of it rises, half of it falls away, voila, cliff. It looks still, but it's moving. Don't build there. Saw one guy blame a sinkhole in his backyard on global warming. It was on the news. He had a beautiful cherry 69 Camaro. He's in Southern California, just going into this sinkhole, and his whole backyard is being sucked in. His lawn, his lawnmower, his shed, and just teetering on the edge is this beautiful, right out of the showroom looking 69 Camaro. And, you know, again, I'm supposed to feel sorry for that. I live in Chicago. Illinois road salt took my 69 Camaro 25 years ago. It's about time his followed mine into the earth. If that's climate change, man, that's just justice. But I know the people that believe in it, man, they'll say, well, no, scientific consensus says, well, you know what? 3 years ago, scientific consensus said there were 9 planets. Now there's only 8. What happened? Did one explode? No, they changed their mind. They're humans. They're allowed to do that. 40 years ago, scientific consensus said that butter was bad for you and we should all switch to margarine. Now, scientific consensus says that margarine, which is 100% trans fat, is the deadliest thing you can put in your mouth, next to cigarettes and strangers. The 30 years ago, scientific consensus said that by the year 2000, the United States was going to be swarmed with killer bees and we were all going to die. Now scientific consensus says that the bees are going extinct and we're all going to die. They're not very good prophets. They're not prescient. They're just scientists. Self-important pinheads who never get dates. Geeky people with allergies and asthma and glasses that spent their childhood getting beat up for lunch money and creamed on the dodgeball court. They'd come home and cry to their moms, and their moms would say, that's okay, sweetie, they don't like you because you're smarter than them, but you'll show them someday, don't you worry, but they never do. Because they don't listen to their dads when their dad says, you're never going to make any money with a job like that. So rather than getting degrees that pay well, they get degrees in things like astronomy and paleoclimatology and archaeology. Their friends, man, their friends got their MBAs, their CPAs, their doctors and lawyers and engineers. They're making some serious cash. And now they have big expensive homes and big expensive cars, pulling big expensive boats full of big expensive girlfriends with big expensive boob jobs. And the scientists, they don't have that. No, they have crummy little research positions. They drive home in their crummy little Volvos to their crummy little flat, and they eat some ramen noodles and knock themselves out watching Star Trek: The Next Generation. And they see the homes and the cars and the boats, and they don't have it. They don't think it's fair because their mom promised them. And every time they have to look at it, it's like another dodgeball smacking them in the back of the head. And they say, if they can't have it, no one can have it. And when the media comes to them and says, do you think those cars and homes and boats are ruining the environment? Yes, I do! We need laws to take it all away from them. They're killing the earth. They're destroying the polar bears. We're all going to die. We're not going to die. I know Al Gore said that the oceans are going to rise 23 feet. Why didn't he just say 11 zillion? Well, I actually did this bit and put it on the internet. And some scientists really got mad at me. And said, Al Gore never said 23 feet. No, he just showed pictures of the ocean rising 23 feet. He never actually said it, you know. Kind of like when somebody wants to threaten your family, they just show you a picture of your family. But no one's saying 20. Well, the IPCC says 23 feet over the next 1,000 years, maybe. What they actually said, worst case scenario, is 23 inches by the year 2100. Okay, folks, here's 23 inches. I'm standing in the ocean, okay? Here's 23 inches of ocean rise, okay? Ooh, that looks like a crisis. Okay, now watch carefully. You might have to do this someday. Here's how you deal with 23 inches of ocean rise. Watch. Now, if you can't move that far in 100 years, you deserve to die. That's not a crisis, that's just Darwin. And people are so stupid today about this stuff, man. I actually was talking to one girl, and she actually said, yeah, but if the Arctic ice cap melts, we're going to lose the polar bears and penguins. You see, she's getting her science from Coca-Cola commercials. There aren't any polar bears and penguins in the Arctic. You put polar bears and penguins together, all you're going to have is real fat polar bears. The only way penguins have survived is because they're on the other side of the world from the polar bears. But people say stuff that makes no sense. Sheryl Crow said that maybe we should be limited to 1 square of toilet paper a day. Yeah, which, you know, I don't think is a bad idea because I'm a guy. I can sell toilet paper substitution credits to all the women. I think that'd be, we're going to have to, by 2012 in this country, we're going to have to get all our light bulbs replaced with compact fluorescent bulbs, which means that in 2012, our living rooms will be as dim as the Congress. They think maybe we should go to the electric car, which I don't see makes any sense. Yeah, because the electricity has to come from somewhere. It doesn't just grow out of the socket. You have to generate it. In this country, you generate the majority of electricity by burning fossil fuel. The same exact thing I'm doing under the hood of my car. But somehow, because it happens at the power plant, it doesn't happen at the environment. It hurt the environment. You see what happened in West Texas last week? They ran out of electricity. The wind stopped blowing, and the windmill stopped, and there was no electricity for like an hour and a half. How stupid would you have felt if you would have had an electric car? Because you would have had to actually walk to the gas station to buy a gallon of gas so that you could run the generator for an hour to charge up your car so you could drive back for a little more gas. I think people just have to realize there's no natural way to fly 70 miles an hour through the countryside. If CO2 really bothers you, you're going to have to walk. And that's what I think we'd have to do if we were serious about a lot of this stuff. We'd have to spend the rest of our lives without cars or toilet paper or underarm deodorant, and I'd rather be dead. Who wants to live like the Amish? Corn cobs don't even sound pleasant to me. Because people want to get rid of electricity. They do these scientific studies where they like find families that live directly underneath high-tension power lines, and they'll go in their homes and they'll count their teeth. Then they'll find a nice, wealthy family in a nice, wealthy suburb, and they'll go in their home and they'll count their teeth. And they will discover that there tend to be more teeth per capita in the nice, wealthy suburbs versus families that live directly underneath high-tension power lines, and conclude that electromagnetic radiation causes tooth decay. Forgetting, of course, the type of homes you tend to find directly beneath high-tension power lines, trailers. And anyone who's studied the phenomenon as thoroughly as myself knows it's the trailers that cause the tooth decay. Trailer-associated tooth deficits will occur in populations residing in trailers regardless of geographic positioning. It doesn't matter if that trailer's by the railroad tracks, by the swamp, the same amount of teeth are going to be missing. It's something in the aluminum. Some weird alloy that leads to a lot of social ills in America. That metal makes them tornado magnets. It's true, if you raise your family in a trailer, there's a 90% better likelihood your children will grow up with dirty faces. Trailers can be statistically linked to alcoholism, domestic violence, and the inability to realize how fat you are in a white tank top t-shirt. There's a lot of bad science like this, too. That's the reason why marijuana is still illegal, you know. And whatever you think about that, at least we should have legalized marijuana for medical patients. I know the science says, well, there's no proven therapeutic value for medical marijuana. Oh, come on. Marijuana is the only substance known to man that can make hospital food taste good. That's a valuable condiment in my book. But they say that it leads to heroin. And the reason why is they started with the junkies. And pretty much anyone under 50 years of age has had some experience with marijuana. Junkies don't live past 50. So every junkie in America has probably smoked marijuana, but they've probably done a lot of things. You could ask them if they ever drank milk. Well, you might be surprised at the findings of this study. Why, you might discover that milk is the gateway fluid. Because I would bet you close to 100% of all marijuana smoking heroin junkies used to drink milk. Oh yeah, I could do a double-blind control on this study. You lock someone in a room with a lot of marijuana and a lot of cookies, they will beg you for milk. Right now, there's a lawsuit against the Pfizer Corporation for their Viagra product because somebody has discovered a link between people who take Viagra and people who die of heart attacks. And right away, they say, well, obviously, Viagra causes heart attacks. And it's not the whole story. No, in reality, Viagra causes something else. That's why people take it, because they don't have something else going on. But the truth is, sometimes when that's not going on, it's because you're not supposed to. It's nature's little way of saying, last call. Get off the dance floor, you're making a fool of yourself. Lose the toupee, Senator Kennedy. See, so when you do that to someone who's not supposed to have it, you're now tampering with the laws of nature. You're asking for it. You take a 95-year-old man, someone who has not done a single push-up in over 50 years, give him a reason to do 100 in less than a minute, heart attack. Hey, listen, you've been great. Enjoy your dinner. Thank you very much for putting up with it.